It was just before midnight when the phone call came in. At 11:47 p.m., Jennifer Gledhill dialed police. Her voice steady, but her words carrying a weight that would soon unravel the perfect façade she had built around her family. To the outside world, Jennifer and Matthew Johnson were the definition of success. A $1 million home in Cottonwood Heights, Utah, 3 children who seemed to have everything. Matthew, a decorated Green Beret and respected member of the Utah National Guard's 19th Special Forces Group. And Jennifer, a nurse and devoted mother who neighbors described as quiet, polite, and family-focused. But appearances were deceiving. Behind the doors of their elegant home, the marriage had been crumbling for months. Friends knew the couple was considering divorce. Jennifer had even filed for a protective order, claiming Matthew had become dangerous. But when the court examined the evidence, the judge saw something else entirely. 2 people locked in a toxic relationship, constantly belittling and provoking one another. The order was dismissed, and for Matthew, the warning signs only grew clearer. He confided in close friends that Jennifer's behavior had become erratic, even frightening. Some nights he chose not to sleep at home at all, instead staying at a National Guard facility because he no longer felt safe under his own roof. He knew divorce was inevitable, but what he didn't know was that Jennifer had already made sure divorce would never come. Because while Matthew was preparing to walk away, Jennifer was preparing something far darker. She had been living a double life, an affair that consumed her thoughts, an escape she wanted at any cost. And to make it possible, prosecutors say she began plotting her husband's death. The plan was cold, calculated, ruthless. In the days leading up to the tragedy, Jennifer sent their children to stay with her parents. She showed her lover a Glock pistol she kept in the home, a chilling preview of what was to come. And on the night of September 20th, after an explosive argument about her affair, she waited until her husband was asleep in their master bedroom. Then, in the early hours of September 21st, she picked up his own handgun and fired a single shot to his head. Matthew Johnson, soldier, husband, father of 3, never woke up. What followed was a cover-up so detailed that investigators would later describe it as methodical. Jennifer placed his body into a storage container, dragged it through the house, and loaded it into the family's minivan.
She destroyed his phone,
Abandoned his truck in a nearby neighborhood, and then drove north, carrying her husband's body to a secret burial site that has still never been found. Back at home, she bleached the walls and ordered a brand new mattress to erase the traces of blood that seeped deep into the carpet beneath their bed. But for all her planning, Jennifer made one devastating mistake. She couldn't keep the secret to herself. Days later, she confessed everything to her lover, the gun, the body, the cleanup. And as she spoke, detached and cold, he realized the woman he thought he knew had crossed a line no one could return from. Terrified, he began recording their conversations. Those recordings would become the key to exposing Jennifer Gledhill. The conversations were chilling. When her lover pressed her, frightened by what she had admitted, Jennifer dismissed his fear with a voice that was disturbingly calm. "Wow, if you think I could even hurt a fly," she said. He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt. It was a glimpse into a mind that had already dehumanized her husband, a man she had lived beside for years, the father of her children. To Jennifer, he had become nothing more than an obstacle to be erased, and she didn't stop there. In one conversation, she compared herself to the Queen of Hearts, bragging that she had always been the type to say, "Off with their heads." She spoke as if murder were a solution, as if she could cleanse her life of problems with one brutal act. Her lover knew he was in over his head. Quietly, he began saving every text, every call, every piece of evidence. Meanwhile, Jennifer played the role of worried wife. 6 days after the murder, she called police to report Matthew missing. She told them he had left home, claimed he'd said not to contact him for a week. But investigators quickly realized her story didn't add up. The Utah National Guard was already alarmed. Matthew had failed to report for duty, something completely out of character for the disciplined soldier. And by the time Jennifer's lover came forward with his recordings, police knew they were dealing with something far more sinister than a missing person case. On September 28th, investigators executed a search warrant at the Gledhill home. The scene spoke louder than any words Jennifer could offer. Beneath the couple's brand new mattress, officers discovered a massive blood stain soaking through the carpet. Bleach clung to the air, smeared across walls and floors in an attempt to scrub away what had happened. Reddish-brown spots marked blinds and bed slats. It was exactly what Jennifer had described in her late-night confessions, and then technology delivered the final blow. GPS data from Jennifer's phone revealed her movements to the very place where Matthew's truck had been abandoned, and north toward the area where she admitted she had buried him. On October 2nd, 2024, Jennifer Gledhill was arrested. The charges were staggering: first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, desecration of a human body. And as the case widened, even her own parents were pulled into the web, accused of helping her cover up the crime by cleaning, resetting phones, and disposing of evidence. But the most haunting detail remained. Matthew Johnson's body was still missing. Even with Jennifer in custody, the nightmare was far from over. Because without Matthew's body, there was no closure. Law enforcement launched massive search efforts, combing through counties across northern Utah. Over 70 people, police, volunteers, and even Matthew's fellow Green Berets joined forces to find him. They searched mountains, rivers, and farmland. They sifted through clues Jennifer had dropped, following every breadcrumb northward. But still, no body. Then, investigators uncovered something chilling. During a search, a large storage container was found floating in water. Inside, they detected Matthew's blood. It was proof that his wife's cover-up had been calculated, organized, and cold. Yet, the most critical piece, his remains, was still out of reach. Meanwhile, Jennifer's parents, Thomas and Rosalie, were arrested. Police alleged they hadn't just looked the other way, they actively helped their daughter. Rosalie bought a new mattress to replace the blood-soaked one. Thomas slipped up during questioning, admitting he did not go in where the incident happened, a statement investigators saw as proof that he knew exactly what had taken place. For Jennifer, the charges piled higher: first degree, murder, obstruction of justice abuse or desecration of a human, body tampering with a witness, and even possession of controlled substances. Her trial was set for December 2025, but prosecutors were already painting a devastating picture: a woman who killed to escape a divorce, to protect her affair, and to claim her husband's $500,000 life insurance policy. Yet the tragedy went deeper still. The couple's 3 young children, just 11, 7, and 5, had now lost both parents, one to murder, the other to prison, and through it all, Matthew's family spoke with quiet anguish. His Green Beret brothers, the men who had served with him for over a decade, refused to stop searching. His relatives begged Jennifer to reveal where she had buried him. "We just want to bring him home," they said, but Jennifer stayed silent. The courtroom hearings only intensified the darkness of the story. Prosecutors revealed Jennifer had told her lover that she'd rather shoot herself than go to jail. Judges agreed she posed a danger. Bail was denied. Now, with the trial looming, one haunting question hangs over Utah. Why? Why would a mother of 3, living in luxury with a decorated husband and a picture-perfect family, throw it all away for an affair and a shallow grave? As Jennifer Gledhill sits behind bars awaiting trial, the community of Cottonwood Heights is left reeling. Friends, neighbors, and fellow soldiers of Matthew Johnson still struggle to comprehend how a family that seemed so stable, so picture-perfect, could unravel into such tragedy. The prosecution is confident. They believe the evidence tells the story of a woman who betrayed her vows, murdered her husband, and tried to erase his existence. The defense, however, will almost certainly push back, raising questions of intent, circumstance, and credibility. But at the heart of it all are 3 young children who will grow up without their father's steady hand or their mother's presence. Innocent lives forever altered by choices they never made. This case forces us to confront the darkest side of human nature, the deception behind closed doors, the lengths some will go to for money, passion, or freedom, and the unbearable cost paid by those left behind. For Matthew Johnson's family, the search for justice continues. For his brothers in uniform, the search for his body goes on. And for Jennifer Gledhill, One final reckoning awaits. In a courtroom where every secret, every lie, and every decision will finally come to light. This is the haunting story of betrayal. Greed and violence, the case of Jennifer Gledhill, but this case is far from over. As prosecutors prepare their evidence and Jennifer's defense team builds its strategy, the courtroom is set to become a battlefield of truth versus deception. Every text, every recorded call, every financial record will be scrutinized. And in that arena, the world will finally hear the full story.